Welcome, everyone. This is Betska, the Guru Coach, together with my wonderful co-host, Raj Vashisht. I'm in Canada. Raj is in Delhi, India.
Ah,
And our guest today, back by special demand, right, is
yes.
Nadege Minois. She is in Pau, France. That's where she lives
Yeah.
now.
French.
French, yes. When we did the last podcast with Nadege, the comments in the chat box on LinkedIn were so everybody loved her. So we thought, okay, that means we better bring her back to pick her brain again. So welcome, Nadege.
People want French
Thank
vibes again.
you.
Yeah, they want to
Thank
be.
you. Thank you for having me again.
Yeah. Well, let me tell the world who you are. Nadege Minois is a consultant in project management communication. So those three words are very important for our discussion today. Project management communication. Yeah. She has lived in 5 different countries and worked with many international teams. And as I mentioned, she's now back in France, lives in Pau, France, her country of birth, after more than 2 decades of international experience in the USA and Europe. Lucky woman. Wow, to
Oh,
have done all of that. And what makes Nadege unique in the field is that she focuses on communication and not on project management methodology. So you have a challenge or an opportunity, and a project management person will say, okay, they'll map out the different steps that are needed in order to execute this project. And while that's important, but Nadege comes at it from a different perspective. If you want that project to succeed, the communication needs to be clear. Mm-hmm. And because she feels that if we are to get it right, what's most important is to better orchestrate effective, meaningful interactions with people rather than this project management methodology that I just described. So, and another thing you may want to know about Nadege is that she has a puppy dog named Magnus. He's he's a golden retriever, and obviously a delightful companion for Nadege. So welcome, Nadege. Wonderful to have you back.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm so happy to be back with you, Betska and Raj. It's always such a pleasure to meet you and to chat with you. Thank you so much.
You're
our
very
pleasure.
welcome, honey. Yes,
The third
indeed it
version.
is. What's that, Raj?
Third version.
Yeah, third version. Yeah. So, Nadeja, I had asked you to start with a story because people learn from stories, and maybe Raj and I could ask you questions about your story. So tell us a project management story that had impact for you and for the teams.
So, I could take several examples, but something that might relate with people in project management, but also outside of project management, was a young project manager recently sharing with me a story that a team member had hidden information from the project manager. And the project manager discovered that during a meeting with another stakeholder. And so basically just, oh, okay, I didn't know about that. And so obviously that was quite an awkward situation. And I think this exemplifies quite well what can happen. Because it's true that presented like that, you say, oh, hiding information, that's, that's not good. And it's usually the way people will react. And so obviously it becomes kind of negative. But if you really step back and ask, okay, why has that happened? And have just a clear and open conversation with this person to understand what happened, most of the time, actually, you will realize that no, it was not maliciously hiding information. That's just genuinely, it could be genuinely forgotten about it, or a misunderstanding, and the person didn't do what the project manager expected because that person had misunderstood. And so you can see how that just that little story can show how difficult communication can be and how miscommunication could easily lead to conflicts, and which obviously you absolutely don't want in your project as a project manager.
I was just thinking, the manager's first reaction was, "You're fired."
Yes.
You know,
Well,
you have hidden information, right? But as you said, Nadege, we don't know whether it was malicious or whether it was not intentional, or there could be other people involved, or we don't know the story. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
So, what did you advise? Did you work with this young
So
person, or
what
did you work with the manager as well, or what happened there?
Yeah, so what I advise in that case is, first, do not react. You know, at the time of the meeting when the project managers discovered, basically the thing was just not to react to it. Just okay, yeah, well, I didn't know about that, but you know, don't make a fuss about it in the meeting. Okay. And then have a discussion with the person to ask, oh, how did that happen? To really understand the reason for that. Okay. And basically the reason, well, it's not the reason, but basically one aspect is that probably the project manager beforehand hadn't asked quite the right question. So she didn't get that answer. So that answer wasn't given to her, basically. And something that I advised was also sometimes to use, I know in some countries, in schools, you know, they have these show and tell. And basically to use that kind of things with your team member is, instead of just asking question and having them telling you something, well, they could show it to you. And you know, when I was a project manager, with my project team, the developers, it was IT project manager. It was quite often that you know, we would sit down and they would show me, oh, this is what I developed, and you see, this is how it works, and da, da, da. And just, you know, so like that, in a way, I knew what was going on. So that's also something you can use.
Okay. So in this particular case, what you're doing is you're inviting the project manager to adopt better communication skills with the team throughout the project, so that the project manager is kept aware of everything that's going on, right?
Yes,
Because
yeah, absolutely. To find new ways of interacting with your team members.
And do you advise that, like, on a weekly basis, or do you I know that there are many communication systems. Like sometimes some people have, with project management, it's an online thing. So, you know, whatever comes, you are inputting your progress daily, right?
Yeah.
But it's all online. You're not verbally
Yes.
interacting. And then
Yes.
other people will have weekly meetings on Zoom or Teams or whatever, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you recommend for something for
So
really good, strong communication?
I would recommend as often as necessary. And so, which means that yes, sometimes it's every day. Okay. And
Okay.
we were talking in introduction that I'm not about methodology, but in Agile, there's a practice that they call the daily stand-up. And basically every day you meet with your project team for just 15 minutes for a
Okay.
check-in.
Okay.
And so I don't say that you always have to use that because sometimes, people might just go away and work on something for a few days and then check after a few days. But basically, as often as necessary, it's very important to check in with your team, because if you don't, and that you don't have the right communication channels, you don't have a fully open communication, they may not come back to you saying that they actually have a problem and they can't do what they're supposed to do because I don't know, they're shy, they don't dare, they think they might be blamed for it, whatever the reason. And when finally you get to know about it, it's too late and your project is in trouble. So
So,
yeah.
yeah, your comments have raised another question for me. One of the bigger issues I have seen in my work as a consultant and coach and trainer is that managers are given responsibility for teams that are too large. So, I had one client who had like 25 people reporting to them, right?
Wow.
So if you're trying to manage if you're a project manager and you've got 25 people on your team, that's too much, in my opinion. You should have supervisors under you who will, so it's just my humble opinion. You're the expert here, but it would seem that one project manager should only manage 8 people, no more.
Yes. It's too much. 8 is also too much.
Yeah. What's your thought on that, Nadege? I guess it would depend on, if it's an online type of inputting communication, that's one thing. But if you have to meet with people for a check-in every day, I mean, if you've got 25 people, how can you do a check-in on 25 people?
Yeah, no, it's true that you've got to have ways. I think no, as a project manager, you're supposed to be able to manage the project, however many people work on the project. Okay. But usually it's true that when you come to a lot of people, usually you will have several teams. It's not just one big team working on something similar. It's usually that you have several very distinct teams working on different parts of the project.
That's true.
And so here, when it's like that, so it may not be to go individually to each people, but definitely to check in very regularly with each team.
Right.
And at the very least, as you say, you can have a team leader. Okay, and or it could be like almost like another project manager for each team, and you definitely want to be in very, very regular contact with that person. But then you need regular contact with each team, and also have ways to, when necessary and as often as necessary, to bring kind of the teams together, that the teams understand exactly what the others are doing, and you have ways of doing that in ways of basically scaling up project
Yes,
and
yes.
and the number of teams. And so
Mhm.
usually when it becomes very big, yes, you have representative for each team, and definitely
Yes.
these people have to meet very, very, very regularly. Yeah.
So the information is funneled up and it's funneled down, right?
Yeah.
Funneled up and it's funneled down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Nadege. We're going to take a short pause here. We'll be back, folks, for part 2. And stay tuned because I want to find out what happened to this young man. I'm sure you want to know as well. Okay. We'll see you soon for part 2.